all of a sudden I'm kind of reminded of like RoboCop. You remember the first RoboCop movie, and then the second one? They're talking about building, Delta City 1, and people's neighborhoods were being crushed as OCP was taking over everything. I swear, man. I think something happened with Fermilab where we're in a bad timeline. They did something with that hydrogen collider and things just went bad. Anyways, here's Benny Johnson talking about DC being emptied out.
President Trump is doing God's work by refederalizing DC. By the way, DC was set up as a federal city. It's in the Constitution. It's how our founding fathers intended it. These laws are still fully enforceable. They've never been rescinded or amended. President Trump and the executive, through the House of Representatives, controls Washington, D.C. President Trump controls budgets. House of Representatives and Speaker of the House is technically and historically the mayor, the lead of D.C. That still remains on the books. What happened to D.C., especially during the civil rights period, was that protesters that were bossed up here stayed here. The city was burned to the ground. This happened during massive riots throughout the 60s and 70s. Mass swaths of the city were torched and were never really rebuilt. And so what President Trump is doing is reasserting control of not only our nation's capital, but truly the seat of Western civilization. There's one final little note here that kind of blends outside of the personal, which is that Washington, D.C. is a representation of the work of your forefathers and mine.
All right. I got to pause here. All right. Okay. What I see happening, if you're talking about emptying out cities and bulldozing things, look, you have to remember the reason why many cities are being underfunded and divided is because it's all part of a plan to make more money. It's all part of a plan to try and destroy things and make things more unlivable. Cities are being emptied out of the people. See, the beating heart of a city isn't, the buildings or the landmarks. It is the people. But what happens when you shut down the schools and shut down the roads, when you shut down the infrastructure? I mean, these politicians will only give a damn if the right people move in. Maybe rich people move in. I've seen New York City. They're building all these big skyscrapers and luxury homes. And, for a guilty pleasure, I like looking at those videos. But then I'm reminded of the words of my grandfather. May he rest in peace. For I need his counsel now more than ever. But I remember his words, especially when it was happening when I was a teenager, about all these luxury high skyscraper buildings, these luxury apartments and condos. And he just said numerous times, who's going to live in these? Who can afford to live in these? Not everyone's rich. Not everyone can afford this. Who can live here? Y'all want to know a little dark secret? Because I, you know what? I'm a nerd. Oh, I'm such a nerd. I like to watch documentaries. Oh, the ladies go crazy with me. But I like to watch documentaries. And some of these documentaries, especially about these big high-rise skyscraper buildings, especially in New York City. Did you know most of those condos and apartments are empty? Did you know nobody's living there? Nobody. I'm gonna let you on a little secret here too. You know that famous line from Casino? Robert De Niro's character is talking about rich people. Like the cheapest people are rich people. You think only people who are really dumb rich will get something like that, or lottery winners or influencers who think the good times will keep on rolling. Yeah. I'm telling you, nobody lives in those buildings. Nobody lives there. Nothing but ghosts. Nothing but ghosts.
It is, by every measure, a very beautiful city architecturally. It is a sacred city. It is a sovereign place with the monuments to great men and women who've sacrificed far more than you or I could ever dream for this country. It must be preserved because the peoples of Earth come here by the millions per year in order to witness the success or failures of our systems. And if you are a proud patriot and you love this country and you wish for it to be reflected honorably to the peoples of Earth, then Washington, D.C. must be swept clean.
Swept clean, made pure. You know what it is? Commissariat Hans and Deputy Fritz. Hello. Everyone part of the secret political police squad. We must remove all the homeless tents. We must remove everything from the streets. Fritz, get in the bulldozer. Run down the buildings. Okay.
Need to be emptied.
Entire neighborhoods need to be what?
Neighborhoods probably need to be emptied, need to be bulldozed. I believe that there are places that are so crime-ridden and so infested that you just need to, you're just going to have to crack down. You're going to have to do the job, and you're going to have to get the crime out of Washington. That's my personal experience. Don't believe the bullshit that you hear online from some reporters. Oh, crime's down in D.C. Well, my infant nearly died in a drug fire after mass shootings.
Well, I'm sorry that happened, but at the same time, too, I know. Really? He said that? Look, let's be clear here. There's a lot of issues with Chicago. There's Chicago, DC, New York City. But we need to ask the how and reason why things happen, okay? Do we want to talk about why there's a drug crisis here in this country? I mean, who's buying the drugs? Mr. and Mrs. America. And they're not always from the inner city. Sometimes they're from suburbs, you know? So most of the time they could be from the suburbs. Do we want to talk about the CIA and their friendship with El Chapo? And how cocainium, titanium, propanium was flown in, smuggled in? Who do you think was buying it? An evil bad guy or regular people? It was regular people. And, you know, I think, you know, we all know about, you know, for control, don't you want to manufacture a crisis? Well, the crisis seemed to have gotten on hand. Don't we also have like an opioid crisis thanks to big pharma? I'm just saying the reason why things are falling apart is because there was a plan for control that got out of control.
So no, DC is not safe. And I can tell you this as a matter of fact, it is one of the worst, most racist narco states and welfare states imaginable. In that neighborhood that I would walk every single day, racial epithets were screamed at us, rocks were thrown at us because we were white people.
Okay, look, in my entire life, I mean, maybe okay. In my time in the Marine Corps, obviously, you know, let's face it, I maybe once or twice might have been called a cracker, right? Just maybe once. All in all, most of my life, nah, never. Like the only incident where I was walking down the street and something was shouted at me was when I think, oh God, what an innocent time. It was 2015. Grateful Dead were playing in Chicago. It was their last tour or something like that. And I'm walking. I'm actually walking in actually an unsafe part of Chicago, right? Towards Soldiers Field. So I'm going through a little bit of a rough area, a little bit. And this homeless guy who's just digging through the trash just stares me up and down and just says, "What you think you doing here, Jive Turkey?" And that was it. And I just kept walking around, just like, oh, let's call the Jive Turkey. That's it. Like there's the only time anything was ever shouted at me. What you doing here, Jive Turkey? Only time. I never had anyone to call me hunky or white boy or anything like that or cracker. Yeah, really. No, that's it. Just really. Hey, what you think you doing here, Jive Turkey? That was it. That was it. That was it. That was it. You know, so I know I'm hurt forever by it. Oh, The chat. Yes, I know. I'll tell my story. I was called a jive turkey. They called me a jive turkey. I'm not a jive turkey, man.
This city is a sunken place. It is an unsafe place. I mean, if that's what happens to me, imagine what happens to somebody who's like visiting here from a foreign country. Right? It's totally and wholly unsafe and a scar on the face of our country. And it must be healed. And President Trump is going about that heavy work.
Christian, man, why would you make fun? Why would you make fun of me? OG Moulton, why would you make fun of me? Kit, what's wrong? What's wrong, Kit? Why are you sad? Oh, people on the internet making fun of me because I told my story when I was called a jive turkey. I thought people would give me hugs and make me feel better. But instead, no, it didn't. But I look. Ever since Trump came out saying he wanted to federalize DC, there has been this full-on open embrace of, okay, bring them to other major cities, bring other federal oversight into other major metropolitan cities. And there has been a very interesting kind of pushback, you know. Now look, I just want to say, look, people that are watching this, I don't encourage any type of violence, okay? I don't. But people have been telling me about the DC sandwich guy. You wanted it, you got it.
Right here. Fascists? Fuck you! Fuck you, fascists! Shame! 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 Shame!
Y'all laughing, but that's the truth, though. We really talking real shit.
Shame!
Y'all need to do some background studying about the Federal Bar Association.
Came in.
What vehicle?
The ones they pulled up in. These fascists.
Oh, the fascists tried to the federal buy investigators.
Where did they? What vehicles did they show up in?
They showed up in unmarked.
Where are they? Where?
Right, is it white? The white.
Now, look, I don't encourage this, especially if you see somebody doing all this. It can lead to something extra.
No, you don't got me super bad. No.
Bro! It's not working. Fuck them, bro. Stop the drama! Little blip! It's not fucking worth it! Come on, Brian!
Christ fucking town, man.
Take a fucking way! You busy?
Motherfucker!
Okay, there you go. Throwing the sandwich.
Oh! It's fucking gun! It's fucking gun!
He cooked them!
Well, the sandwich story is going up in history. So, all right, that's happening in DC. All right. It's assault by a deadly sandwich, yeah, but you don't do that, okay? And look, Benny Johnson's statements. All right, let's actually get serious here with Benny Johnson's statements about DC neighborhoods being emptied out, buildings being bulldozed down. You know, you got to ask yourself why these buildings were dilapidated, why people are living in tents. It's because of decades upon decades of mismanagement by politicians. And even looking in Chicago, you know, people saying, well, there's tent cities under the bridges. There's buildings being boarded up. It's because what these politicians have done to the people. Okay, these politicians are taking inside bribe deals, breaking people down, taking the corporations' money, raising the rent, raising the taxes. You know, there's a reason why a lot of these major metropolitans or cities are failing. It's because of these lawmakers. And look, I'm gonna just going to rip this Band-Aid off. But if you look at New York City and Chicago, you know, predominantly Democrat lawmakers. Now, I'm going to focus here on Chicago here because DC is a whole other different animal. There are neighborhoods being emptied out because of unchecked gentrification. Okay. Taxes rising up, land prices rising up. People are being forcibly displaced. I don't know what the overall future will be for all citizens living in Chicago or in Illinois because this city's going broke. But who's making us broke? It's these politicians and programs that failed. And in order to be part of the Democrat machine, you got to kiss the ring, unfortunately. And that ring is in the center of the blue donkey's butt cracks. Okay, sorry, that's just how it is. When you want to play Chicago politics, play with the Democrat machine, you got to kiss the blue donkey's ring. Okay, as right between its butt cheeks. I know, horrible image to put into everybody's head, but that's the truth of it. But if you're talking about bulldozing neighborhoods and people and pushing them away, I mean, all what you're doing is you're pushing the problem outside of a preferred area, just like what OCP was doing in RoboCop, pushing out all the poor people and thinking that all the problems will go away in the nice white Delta City with towers of gleaming, shiny metal. Meanwhile, on the outside, the people are looking in. A fall of a nation doesn't happen from outside forces. It happens when the people stop believing in the government, stop believing in its leaders. So you could sit there and look, I don't want anyone walking down the street, be it Benny Johnson or any of you, being harassed or being threatened. I mean, yes, we all want safe sidewalks, safe communities, safe schools. I think that's a universal agreement. But this whole displacement and treating everything like it was a hammer in our hand and treating everything like a nail and go ahead and pop, 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 using it as a hammer, it's just going to cause more problems. It won't solve it. And by the way, don't throw sandwiches. Don't do that. And if you see somebody instigating somebody like that, I'm not going to tell you try and stop it, but the sandwich story is already going up in history. Run, sandwich man, run. Don't be no jive turkey.